everyone.
Ratnamala.
Yeah, so you are all come from different parts of the country, right? Yeah, you're also from different fields. Okay, so anyone from Moscow background? I think I know one of us for that. Anyone else? No, Moscow cultural studies. No, most of you from political science, social work, and sociology, right? Yeah. Okay, no problem. So today we are going to discuss about like one important method, that is content analysis, and that is a very core method which we use in media studies. But not only in media studies, we are also using in political science, sociology, and also like marketing and like educational research. Also they are using it. So you know that all the research methods they all started with like certain historical events, right? So even this one like. Was like developed and after this Second World War. Because during the First World War and the Second World War, they started with the First World War it was only newspaper, and in the Second World War that Hitler's radio was also there, and US and other Western forces they don't know what Hitler was doing with his radio, right? And he is like trying to convince like all these people, and he's effectively doing his propaganda and persuasion. So they were all like kind of clueless, right? So they actually that time the American government they have like instituted many research institutes, and also they started giving more funding, and particularly during that Second World War period only, most of the communication research methods they all got developed. Okay, so likewise even this content analysis was also like developed during that period. And the first one you can say that Harold Loswell, who was a communication researcher, he came up with one model of communication, that is kind of transmission model of communication, right? So in that, I think it's in 1948, and he came up with his model of communication called like who says what in which channel to whom with what effect. Okay, it's a kind of even it's a very linear model of communication. It's also like kind of the base. Okay, we cannot just go with it. After that so many models has come, and like they are all like kind of non-linear models were there, all these things. But Harold Loswell, he gave the base for this content analysis, saying that the content says what, okay, the message, right? They wanted to know like what message is being circulated in the media channels, right? Media formats. So for that purpose. And later on, Bernard Berelsen in 1954, he also like wrote a book on it, and that was the first book on content analysis. And Bernard Berelsen like gave a what you call scientific definition of how to do content analysis and all. So content analysis means you might know analyzing the content of media, right? Or like any messages, right? And then the analyzing also, as you know, it's a scientific research, so it has to be like very scientific, and it has to be like systematic and objective. And again, it also mostly comes under the quantitative research method. Okay, so you will be like quantifying, like counting the numbers, and yeah, what is there and what is not there, right? So that is also there. So he gave, and after that, Krippendorf and Neuendorf and so many other people have also given. So if you want to like see the textbooks, Bernard Berelsen, Krippendorf, Neuendorf, you can go and see. Okay, you can get in this one. So let us like kind of start with the basic of like content analysis, right? And many people, I think even in political science, they are very much interested about the political messages. People are even doing research about the Man Ki Baat message. Okay, they will just take all the text of the Man Ki Baat speeches, and then they are seeing that like what is there, the content. Okay, so you can do a lot of like research in that way also. And again, particularly, you all know that media is not neutral. It is like operating, it's not operating in a vacuum, it is operating and functioning in the socio-political cultural conditions of any society, right, or any country. So it's also like not neutral, and it's always kind of biased, right? And you can find the bias through this content analysis, like to which party they are supporting or to which ideology they are supporting. If you use this methodology, you can find it out. Again, we also want to know in the society there is always the periphery, the margins, and the dominant, right? So if you want to know the people who are like in the margins, how they are being represented, how they are being framed, right? In the newspaper or in the television or in the radio or in like new media now, right? So you can always use this content analysis, okay? So another one thing, and maybe like as you are all like, I don't know how many of you, or have you anyone used this method before? No, okay. Even our students actually, like even my PhD is on content analysis and I'm also doing a lot of research, but none of my PhD scholars is using this method, okay? No one is doing on that one, I don't know. They are using it, but now only for the new media, but not for the mainstream media. But we are also working on certain things I will like show you, okay? So let me like, as you said, the content analysis is described as the scientific study of content of communication. Okay. So the problem is that when it comes to content analysis, people think that just for the sake of counting syndrome, they are doing it. You cannot do it. You should have a purpose. Why I want to study this one? What I want to like know from this one, right? So you should always have a purpose. And if you have the purpose, you can come up with like certain objective, and then you can start doing it, right? So Bernard Carlson, he gave the definition as a research technique for the objective, systematic, and quantitative description of manifest content of communication. Okay, so objective, you know, when it comes to like scientific research, we have to be objective, right? And then it has to be systematic. You cannot just go and count as you want, right? So you have to follow certain procedures. And again, quantitative description of manifest content. What is manifest content? That is the content which is on surface, which you can see, which you can read, which you can hear, right? So that one is called as manifest content. And but people also doing qualitative content analysis where they will go with the latent content. Why certain symbols are being like used? What is the purpose of that one? So they also go beyond like why certain things are used in a field. Okay, so that can also be done. But mostly we go with the quantitative content analysis with a quantitative description of manifest content of communications, right? So Bellingham and Krippendorf, they also given like definition. The same thing only, they will be like keep on, you know, repeating. So as a research technique for making replicable and valid inferences from data peer content. Why I am saying it's replicable is that if you are seeing that, okay, representation of women in newspapers, right? So you have chosen the Hindu, Times of India, and like Telegraph, right? So these three newspapers you are going to like see. But if Shobdan Priya is going and seeing this, okay, and he might found that there are like 50 articles of women representation, right, during that 1 month of 2024, right? And if someone else going and doing the same research, they will also found the same thing, right? So that's why we have to be very careful. There can be like certain, mistakes can be there, errors can be there, but it won't be like outrightly like, so people can go and check your thing also. In survey and all, we cannot do it, right? Then with the same sample, it's not like possible, right? It won't be like possible. And even the in-depth interviews also, because people forget and people will be in certain ways. But in content analysis, you can always like, go and do something and like replicate it. Okay? So, and again the content analysis can be letters, diaries, and newspaper content, folk songs, short stories, messages of radio, television, document, text, or any similar. Okay, you can like do the content analysis of anything. Okay, even this letters to the editor in the newspaper. So you want to know what kind of people are like writing letters to the editors, and on what aspects they are like writing. So even you can just do the thing. Okay, and even advertisement, right? So even in US. They have like done this historical research of like advertising, and they found that even during those periods there were advertisements regarding this runaway slave. Okay, so like newspapers also were very major source of historical evidence. So you can also history this one who are like working with historiography, you can also use these things, okay, to go and like check the thing, okay, what is there and how to find it. And even you can see that some people may be interested in doing on matrimonial advertisements, right? In Northeast it's very new, but like outside Northeast, that is one thing. Once like someone has published a matrimonial advertisement in Mizo Daily, and she faced a lot of criticism and like lot of controversy. How come someone like the bride's father is looking for a groom, right? So it is totally unacceptable in like Mizo society because it's a casteless society. But in mainstream, like there is the caste-based society, so there is one. So you can also see like what is there and what is not there. So that's what content analysis will help you. Okay. And again, when we do this content analysis, there may not be like any use also. For example, one of my scholars, she is working on this media representation of Rambua, that is the 20 years of conflict that happened in Mizoram. And then there was also like grouping of villages were there. So she is like working on it, okay. So she studied for 1 week of the thing, and then she panicked, and then she called me, ma'am, I couldn't find enough, data. There are only like very rarely like 1 or 2 articles. Then I said, don't panic, that is our data. If there is zero, that is also a data, because they are completely silencing and they are completely, they are not like reporting on their own, right? So that is the use. And we even did one research about this content analysis of how the marginal communities in Mizoram are being represented. For example, Brul, Chakma and Gurkali. And in that study, there was not even a single story about Gurkali. Okay, right? So that is something that Gurkali doesn't have any conflict with the other tribes. So they were like very silent, and so there was not even a single story about it. So even when you go and do your research, and if there is, you are not finding any data, that is your data. Okay, that is the beauty of content analysis, right? Yeah, so you can say that how they are like framing certain issues, right? And again, when you are doing content analysis, you should also need a strong theoretical framework. Okay, so you can bring in from I think you all heard about Stuart Hall, right? Stuart Hall like representation theory. So how he like represent, talking about like which is represented, which is not being represented, how the power and hegemony is like placed behind that one, right? So you can use that theory. And again, there is Goffman's popular theory on framing. So how certain issues are being like framed, what are the dominant frames and other things. Okay, so you can go with that theory, or you can also use this symbolic annihilation theory. So that is mostly for the representation of minorities, representation of women, or representation of like LGBTQ. So for that you can always go with symbolic annihilation also. Okay. So likewise, you should also have a very strong theoretical framework. Without a theoretical framework, if you do your content analysis, they will always, when you send to the journal, they'll always like kind of reject your work. Okay. So that is also there. So you should always have a, because as you know, it's a quantitative research method, right? So whenever you are doing a quantitative research method, you should always go with the theory. Only in qualitative research we can theorize at the end, right? But here we are always like kind of testing theories, right? All those things. So you should always go with the strong theoretical framework. Okay. So here you can see like how they are like applying the applications of content analysis. So analyzing news coverage, advertising, and entertainment content, and studying political speeches, campaigns, and propaganda, and social engagement, like examining cultural representation, stereotypes, and social norms. And again, in market research, understanding consumer behavior and brand perception, and health communication, analyzing public health campaigns and misinformation. Okay, so you have like all the ideas. Even in Mizoram, okay, none of them have done any content analysis of this dubbed Korean series or Turkish series, nothing. But that is huge. We want to know like how they are like. We have done a very small study, like not very much in-depth content analysis, a very kind of qualitative one. So in Turkish series, they'll always like have this phrase called like they use Allah Allah, okay? Because they are Muslims, right? Even though they are very secular modern Muslims, but they use that word in the normal day-to-day life. So when it's get dubbed here in the dubbing, they make it as lalpa. Okay, so that one. And again, when they say in Turkish, it's dolma, right? That their popular dish. And here they make it as voksare. Okay, and you see how it's irony, right? And they are Muslims, and for them, eating pork is a kind of sin, right? And they won't be. But when they are like dubbing here, it's very common here. Like works are red, so they have like that. So you can see these kind of things when and only we do the content analysis. Otherwise, we won't be knowing. So how they are doing it, right? And how they are like, what are the things they are like allowing, or what are the things they are like censoring also. Because how for the particular culture they are like dubbing it, right? So that one also you can find, okay? So there are like, particularly for Mizoram and also for the Northeast and others also, you can find, like there is an ample, like there is a huge research gap on content analysis. We hardly do anything, okay? Very rarely only some people here and there they are doing it, but mostly people are always going with this boring survey research, right? How many of you are using survey here? I think almost all. Yeah, that is because we are with the positive. Even it is also a positivist approach, but still it can like help you get a lot of things. Okay, and again when we say about like content analysis, it can also help you find the how the media is biased. Okay. For example, what is being covered and what is not being covered, and how it's being covered, whether it is coming in the placement, right, front page or in the inside pages, or it's coming with a photograph or not. Okay, and again, what kind of like language they are using it. So all those things like you can find using this content analysis, and you can also find this whether this media is like biased or not. Okay, so you can find even in the news, television also, whether it is coming in the headlines or not, because Northeast is hardly represented in the mainstream media, right, the national media, right? And even we did one research about the news flow, how the national media is representing Mizoram, and how Mizoram dailies are representing national news, right? So we found that there is a huge gap. So mainstream media, national media, if and only something huge happened, maybe like if 30 people died, 40 people died, or some bomb or like any other controversial issue, then they will all pick it up that story. Otherwise, hardly there was not any representation about Mizoram. And again in Mizoram also, they have like the front page, like in other newspaper, they'll go with the state. In here also, like mostly the state, and for the national, they'll only go for like half page or one page. Okay, so there is a kind of huge gap. So here they don't care about them, and they also don't care about them. So there is a kind of widening gap. So that one we found that through that one. Okay, and even I think Dolo Puya, he did a research around this. He published an article on media and conflict in media. But that one he did use content analysis, but he has like talked about how the media is biased and all in Manipur. That one I think way back in 2015 or 14. There was no conflict at time, but he has written about it. You just go and see now how the media is representing that issue also, na? Like how it's being like which issue is being like covered or which is like sidelined, you can see, right? So all those things like you can find through this content analysis. Okay. So basic principles, objectivity, systematic, and generalizability. So we can also generalize as it is a quantitative research. And this one, as I said, Carol as well. Who says what in which channel, to whom with what effect. So we are also doing all sort of like analysis, like control analysis, the source, the media ownership, that one also we see, or the journalist who talk about that one, and again says what the content analysis, that is the media content, and the media analysis, audience analysis, and effect analysis. That's what we are doing. That today we are seeing this one. So the purpose of the content analysis, to describe the characteristics of content and make inferences about the causes of content and about the effect of content. But let us like so I will just give you like because it's just giving empty lecture, it won't help you. So I will like share you with like many examples, and I have also brought like many papers also. I will like talk to you so you will get a proper understanding. So this one, Berelson and Salter, highlighted the media and the representation of minority groups. And again, they have like done one research on this popular fiction in the 1900s and 1950s to see that the social alienation has been decreasing in middle class American society, while self-alienation has been increasing. That one also they found. And again, it's in the obituary notices. What said, the Chinese president, when he passed away, there were like obituary notices. So someone has done notice. Even there is one study by William Robinson. He did study on this quick Mizoram notices. Okay, during the 20 years of this one, the quick Mizoram notices like posted by this MNF during the period. So he has written a small paper in EPW, but it's not an entirely a content analysis, but you can see like what was there and all. So someone can do on that also, like what was how the content of the quick Mizoram notices and everything. Okay, so those things, and even you can see the calendars. Okay, calendars, wedding cards, right? So many like what are the content like we are using, all the material of this communication you can like always do analysis. Okay, you see like even greeting cards, right? So in, I don't know, you guys are very young, I am old. So in the 90s and all, we have this habit of sending greeting cards, right? So in the greeting cards, okay, for I know Tamil, so we usually celebrate this Pongal festival. So we usually send that one like during that period. So most of these Pongal cards, the greeting cards, it will be with these cine actors or cricketers who are like the celebrities who are popular. But now can you imagine like any of this Gen Z and millennials will do that one? For them it's like totally different, right? So how they are doing it. So likewise you can like feel, and even like I think one of my scholar is doing research on this digital dating. Okay, so he will be like checking the profiles, how they are like putting out in the this dating app, right? So how because you have to give a 50 words description about yourself, right? So how effectively you are communicating and how you are marketing yourself in that particular like dating app. Okay, so those things. So you can be very creative. Okay, you can like even for fun also you can do. For a political this one also, political science concept also you can do a lot. Like which political party is being like represented more, and which ideology that particular newspaper kind of like representing, right? So all those things like you can find out from that one. Okay, and even like one student he did a research about this content analysis of newspapers based on the fencing of Indo-Myanmar border, right? So you know that there is this free movement who was being like controlled, and then there was this one. So in the content analysis, they found that national media, they are all reporting with the theme of national security. Okay, they are seeing only through the security lens. But local media, they are seeing this issue through culturally, right? So the Shinzo, like cultural affinity and all, right? So likewise, you can find out like where they stand and what is the this one they are like doing it. And we also find did a small study about this, how the this children refugees, right? How they are being represented in the media. So there also we found that like most of the refugee issues is being like framed with the cultural stand, okay? Because they are like seeing this issue like culturally, right? More than human right violations or like other issues politically, they are like seeing this issue with the cultural, like what is the cultural affinity with these two groups, right? So and again, when it comes to the children refugees representation, there was not any news, okay? They were all like going with the adult point of view, and they are giving more representation to the adults. So the children, they are being silenced, and they are not seeing their issues also. They are seeing the issue only either through political lens or the cultural lens, but in between whatever is happening, that is not being like represented. Okay, so that one also. And so when you are like doing content analysis, the first thing is that, as I said, that there should be a strong purpose. What are your objectives of this particular study, right? So you should have a research question of like 3 or 4, right? And then you have to define the universe. As I said that, okay, I am going to study about the international trips of like Prime Minister, how it's being like represented in the national media. Okay, so that is your purpose. So now you have like said that it is a media, but media means there are like many types of media, right? There is also folk media, there is also print media, television, radio, right? There are like many forms of like media is there. So you have to decide which media I am going to do. So whether you are like interested in newspaper or television or website, so you have to be very clear, right? So once you decide that one, then only you will be defining the universe. As in survey we are doing the population, right? So here also it is you are defining the population. Okay, I am going to do about this dailies that are coming out from Delhi. Okay, so that one you can like choose. So that is your universe. But again, there also there will be like more than 50 or 100 newspapers like coming out from Delhi, right? So that one you have to choose whether I am going with English or whether I am going with Hindi or like I am going to include both. So that one you have to decide, right? So then after like okay, then I am going to do with only the English language newspapers that are coming out from Delhi. Okay, so even in that there will be like more. So you have to again choose based on the purposefully you can select. Okay, these are this highest circulated dailies, right? And it has like more subscribers. So let me go with that one. So for that you can go with the RNI, this Registrar of Newspaper in India. So they have this website and where you can find all the newspaper for like circulation and everything. Okay, you can go with that, or else most of the newspaper also like advertise that this many like this one. But mostly you should go with the RNA. That is the best way. Okay, to choose that one. And after that you have to select a sample. Here you have to like fix a time frame, right? So you want to do a decade or you want to do only the 5 years, or like 10 years. So that one you have to decide. Okay, so maybe you can say that okay, I want to do a decade. So from 2015 to 2025, 10 years of this will okay your time frame. And again, is it possible to see all the newspapers during the 10 years? No, it won't be possible, right? We can't do census. We don't have that much. We have to complete our PhD. We have to do other works, right? We can't just do that one. So what we have to do is we have to select our sample. And again, selecting the sample also, there are like many methods, okay? So for example, what you can do is, you can say that, okay, I'll be only choosing the trips of Prime Minister to Global South or to Global North, okay? So you can just fix on that one. And then you can say that I'll be only selecting the weeks which he was like traveling. So you can easily get like when the Prime Minister was traveling to different countries, you can get everything, right? From the websites you can get. And then you can like fix your name. That is one thing, okay? Going with a kind of case study, very purposefully you are selecting your time, okay, something happened, right? Or if you want to study about representation of like, sports, particularly during Olympics, then you will be only choosing the Olympic period, like 1 month or 2 months, right? So that is that. So likewise, and you can also do one way, and I think there is one media research group called Bigner and Dominic, and in that the authors have said that if you want to study like 1 year car newspaper, even if you choose 1 month from each month like randomly, that is more than enough, okay? 12 issues per year. Otherwise, you can go with 14 issues per year. That can also be done. Otherwise, they can also do this composite week and composite month. Okay, what they'll do is imaginarily like okay 1 year. So in January, May, I will take the first week. February, May, I'll take the second week, and March, May, third week, and April, May, fourth week, and again in June. Again in May, I'll first week and second week likewise you can do it. Otherwise, you can have a composite week like kind of January, May, first week May, only the Sunday, the second week May, Monday, then third week May, Tuesday, likewise, okay? So that can be done. So you have to like decide your sample. That is very, very important. You cannot just go with everything. But if it is a kind of case study, right? So you can just say for a month or 15 days, I want to study about the representation of women during the month of March and again month of October and November. Just want to see because March is a kind of Women's Day celebration and all of that. So maybe there are like more, or like if there is no celebration, how the women are being celebrated. I want to see. So likewise also you can do it. Okay, that is number one. And then you have to finalize your unit of analysis. And again I said in newspaper or in television, there are like many things are there. In newspaper things there is news items are there, editorials are there, advertisements are there, letters to editors are there, right? So cartoons are there, right? So which one you want to like choose? What are your unit of analysis? Likewise, if it is a like I want to study about the representation of like how they are like dubbing this new series, right? So I want to like take, you can just take one series, right? And then in that one series, how they are doing it. I think someone also like published one work on. How many of you have watched Reply 1988? Yeah. So it's a very popular South Korean drama. It's a very coming of age drama type. Okay, it's a very nice one. If you haven't watched, please go and watch. It's a very good one. So someone has published a paper on that one. So what they have like find it, it's a kind of qualitative analysis. So in that drama, television was one of the important character. Okay, so every day there will be like it's a small locality and 4 or 5 families they are together and they are all friends, like parents are also friends with each other and the kids are also friends with each other. Okay, so they like each home like they will be like showing, and every room there will be like one TV, and whatever it's like how they are like reflecting the different political and historical points in that South Korea, so that one has been. So someone has just written on that one, okay, just seeing that how the television was one of the important element, and they have just only gone with that one, okay. So that one also you can like see. So then you have to decide. That's what like unit of analysis, like which one I want to do. So I want to go with this only the series, you can take it, or I want to take only the television commercials that are being aired in the local television, okay. So how they are like making those commercials. I want to see that what kind of commercials are coming, So yesterday also in the classroom, like yesterday we were discussing, and then we just saw the one line on that advertising page, So there were many advertisements about asking for teachers, and then there are also many news about like land, land like this is my land, like all those like this one, and there are also many advertisements on like septic tank cleaning, and then many advertisements on doctors visits and all, right? So even from that advertising you can see that what is very important for that particular community, but there is not even a single matrimonial advertisement, okay. So that is there. So when you go and like read other newspapers or like advertisement, that will be totally different. So how they are like placing it. So you have to like decide your unit of analysis, what you want to do, right? So you can say that you want to study the advertising. Advertising also again there are like many formats are there, like this classified advertising, the front page, the air panel advertising, because when there is like newspaper name, so in the left and the right corner there will be this one advertisement used to be there, okay, small advertisement, right? So it's called as like air panel. So you can say that in my unit of analysis I will be using the what you call air panel advertisements and also classified advertisement, and again the other major advertisements in other pages, right? Because sometimes in this national dailies, front page, the whole page will be advertisement only, the first page. The news will start from the second page only, right? So media is also kind of real estate, They are selling their space, okay? If they don't sell their space, they can't run their newspapers also. The trade and commerce is very important, so you can always like go for the advertising, and you can also compare how they are like covering the news, okay? If they are getting advertisement from certain political party, then the next day you can see the news is also being reported. So it's all have a kind of connection, okay? So you have to like finalize your unit of analysis, then you have to develop your content categories. Okay, so there you can say that frequency, like in 1 month how many news items regarding this issue has come. And again the theme, like what are the themes they have seen, okay? So likewise, and the placement, where it was like placed, in the front page or the second page, right? and then the size of the news also, whether it is a 5 column means it's like very big, right? And if it is 3 column means somehow big, and if it is just a single column means it's very small news only. Okay, so likewise you can like decide your content categories, kind of defining your variables. Okay, in this one. And then you have to establish a quantification system. So here you have to make one coding schedule. That is also very, very important. Okay, so a coding sheet they say, because as I said that it is quantitative one, and it can be like kind of, it's also kind of rigid. Okay, once you don't is there nothing like that. So this one, as a kind of questionnaire or interview schedule, for a quantitative research, you are preparing. Likewise, you have to like prepare your this coding sheet based on your objectives. Okay, because you need to like have a thing. And again, you cannot just, as I said, that there should be something systematic. You have to count your news, and you have to see how it's being represented, right? So you have to like make that coding sheet. And again, after making the coding sheet, you will be going to the libraries and other places to do your research, right? And again, in when you are like doing your MPhil or PhD or PG dissertation, it's only you are there, right? Only one person is there, only one coder, right? So what they used to do is, they also do it kind of for reliability, intra-coder reliability, they say. Okay, I'm going through this week, and I am like sitting and doing all the content analysis, right? And then I'm coming back, and after 1 month I go and redo the same thing, and then they will see whether there is any difference or not. Okay, and then they try to calculate with this formula, right? And then they say that, okay, this is fine. And if it is a kind of project, research project, right? And then they can have like 1 or 2 research fellows in the team, right? Then there will be 2 coders, okay? Master coder and the other coder. Then both will be doing on their own, right? On the same thing with the same coding sheet. And after that they will come back, and then they will check it, okay? Whether they have this, and they will see that whether 80% agreeability is there, 90% agreeability is there. Then we can go with it, okay? That's it. So you have to see that also. And again, making the coding sheet also, you have to see the validity. Whether are you like trying to find answers for your objectives or not, right? Whether it is valid or not. So what they do is, once the research scholar did it, they can share it with their peer group, right? Their research supervisor and any other mentor in other departments or other universities, right? To go through that one, and again with your fellow scholars also you can share it, and then you can find it whether you have like made it in the right way or not. Then after that only you will start doing the research. Okay, so you have to do the code the content, right? So we will have sheet for per issue. So you will take that issue, okay, name of the newspaper, Times of India, the date, right? And from there it's going to be published from India. Then you can say that how many news regarding women was there on that day, particular day. So 8 or that. And among that 8, what are the themes? Whether it is about political news or entertainment or cultural, right? So likewise the theme wise. And again placement, whether it is 10 page or 2nd page or 3rd page, right? And the size. And with photograph or without photograph, whether it is colorful or like black and white, all those things matters. Okay, so all those will be there, and you will be like do the coding and come back, and again you have to analyze it. And as I said, it's a quantification, so again it's all like numbers, right? So you have to put it, and you have to find the frequency, right? Percentage distribution, right? And you can also do like chi-square and all if you have like more data, right? Chi-square, t-test, all sort of like tests you can do. Okay, so that is that. And then you have to analyze the data and draw conclusion and search for indications, right? In between, like when you are making your objectives and all, you should also decide your theoretical framework, right? So that it will help you to frame your coding sheet properly also. Okay. So this is the thing. Is it clear now? Right. First, we are deciding the research objectives, then the universe, which media, right, and which one, and again we are like choosing the sampling time period, and also the sample size, right? And after that, you are also like creating this coding sheet, right? and then you are like doing the pilot study, then again you start doing the coding, then you are analyzing the data, and then you are fetching the data, right? So this is your question. It's like same like the other research also, not much, but only thing is that you have to do this coding sheet and all. Okay, so this is like the preparation phase, organization phase, and reporting phase. You can see on there, right? So just for the sake of counting syndrome, we shouldn't do it. So you should have a purpose, and even as defined here this way. So again, as I said that topic area and topic period, right? So here this study considers the news content of the front pages of the Washington Post and the New York Times, excluding Sundays, from January 1 to December 31st of the year. Then again multi-stage sampling, okay, selection of titles and dates and the content. And then stratified sampling also you can use by the type of magazine, by network, or like program type, stratification by week of the month and by day of the week, that can also you can do. And composite coding issues from the year and that issues from 1 year. Okay. This one, the operational definition, right? So what the variables, whatever you are using, you have to give an operational definition. Likewise, when you are like choosing the unit of analysis, you have to decide that also. Then same thing. So here, this is one study on Dowling-related violence. Maybe it's not relevant for like Northeast, but like rest of India, you can do that. So you can like make the content category like this. So victim's background, age, education and occupation, background of the victim's husband, nature and patterns of dowry giving, duration of marriage at the end and the time of incident, location where the incident took place, type of abuse, nature of death, nature of demands leading to the conflict, persons participating in the abuse of the women, types of endings, outcomes, reporting the endings and outcomes. So there are also like, so words or terms, themes, characters, you can say that I just want to see how the protagonist role is being represented in this film, okay? Or I want to like see how the antagonist role is being like represented. Or you can just say that I want to see the comedian's role is being like represented, okay? So what they are looking for. And here also establishing a quantification system, as we say, like 4 levels of measurement, always nominal, interval, ratio, all you can use. And again, this one for manually we are doing it, okay? But there are also many softwares now to do it, but they are all mostly expensive. For example, NVO, that is a very good software for qualitative analysis also they use now, NVO. And then there is one QDA Miner, but that one you can use online free version, but it's not that good. If only you go for the paid version, it would be more better. Okay, so that is there. And again, people are using R also, software R. No, how many of you use R here? Okay, I think you can effectively use R for like doing this analysis also. And again, this Python, they are also using Python, and then using Python, they are like extracting data, particularly when it comes to the website content analysis and also this YouTube commands and others. No, they are like using it. And there are also many tools. For example, we have done like one study about YouTube commands. In Nagaland, the voting massacre happened. No, voting massacre, like in one village during Christmas, there was a shooting, like the army like mistakenly shot dead of the local villagers, thinking that they are like militants. Okay, so it was a huge issue. Even the Hornbill festival that year was like stopped. I think it's in 2020.
2021.
Then what we did is we just take this YouTube video and then the comments. No, we have just extracted the comments of that particular one, and even like my scholars like we he is working on this cyber nationalism. Okay, so what he did is there was one interview by Oiva to current topper in the system. Okay, so that one interview commands he just extracted using this orange tool, that is online free only. Orange is there. Okay, so he extracted all the comments, and based on the comments he has done the sentiment analysis, how many are like positive and how many are like negative or negative. Okay, I will like show you that one also. And people are also using AI also. What they do is they just, there are like certain AI where if you like upload your video, that is also giving you the summary of that video, right? And after that you can go through it, right? So that can also be done. Mostly like if you have these newspapers like PDFs and all, right? Then it's very easy. You can just upload it in NBO or like UDA Miner, and you can like give your, based on your coding sheet, you can like extract the data. Okay, that is very easy to do it also. So now I will like show you the various like articles. That one will give you like more. This is a small study. It is about like the representation of women athletes in video. Just go to the majority. Theoretical framework also used. So we have used the symbolic animation. Okay. How like this absence or underrepresentation of a group of individuals and research methodology. So here we have like chose the quantitative and analysis method only. So here we use the purposive sampling technique, and we chose three mesodailies, Ragnaini, Ocean Science, and the Hydrophores. Okay, and then based on the figures of circulation, right? And then all the sports news, the quantum of women's and men's news, the number of news stories supported by photographs, women's and men's news with and without photograph. These are the unit of analysis. Okay, and the sampling period was January to June 2022, and all the dailies in Mizoram do not publish on Sunday, so we have like that one, because here Sunday issue comes with the Monday. Okay, because as Sunday is a sacred day here, they don't publish paper here. Okay, and the sampling period is selected purposely. Here also we have selected the event based. Okay, Australian Open Tennis and AFC Women Asian Cup and Women's Hockey Asia Cup. So during the three major events only we have done that one. Okay, so then here you see. So total number of like sports news stories during that particular and then like how many are men and how many are women. So obviously women news is very less. And then here also with photograph and without photograph also we have seen. But you see for women there are like more photographs, and then geographical coverage also, like whether it is regional news or like sports or like national or like international, right? So you can see. And again the types of sports covered. So you can see that whether it is football or tennis or basketball or badminton, and then combat and then miscellaneous. So in that like how many? So we have found that in the football news, mostly they have covered the men football, not the women football, right? That same goes to like cricket also, right? Women's cricket, it's never like considered as a game. But when it comes to tennis and this one, there is also like more like women, because it has more option for commercializing and more option for sexualizing the thing, right? So that one you can see. And then like we have like considered this one, okay? So here we have said that. Okay, here you see that selected dailies heavily depend on international sports events for content creation, as the majority of the news produced by them or international sports event, and do not necessarily focus on the national or regional sports coverage. all three newspapers have like more, international sports coverage. Okay, so here you can say that the local and others are not given much importance. And again, we have like kind of football, like how it's always about like men's football, right? And again, we have also seen that included that in the women athletes, so how they are being represented. See, so this is one study. Okay. This one we have like studied about like marginal communities, how they are represented. So I will like to tell you. So here conceptual framework also we have used symbolic annihilation, and then another one media pluralism. Okay, so how there is pluralism when it comes to the news makers and also like the content, right? And also regarding ownership, right? Then methodology, you can see that here also we have chosen both English and Mizo dailies, right? Online and like music, and we have like selected like the period also February 2019 and March 2021, right? And then the content regarding rules of non-vocally. So here you see distribution. So only there are like very few in one point. You can see. As I said that it's not about thousands or like hundreds. Even if it is 1, 0 or 2 also, that is our content. Okay. Percentage distribution of articles. On blue, there are more Chakma and Gokali 0. You see, then get 0. Okay. And again, we have also found that blue news was more during that 2019, because that time there was certain conflict, and later on they were being settled down. So in 2021 there is not much news. Okay, so we can compare that when which will cover and which will not cover. Then page 1 and page 2. Then 5 column and above, 1 column between 2 to 4 columns. And the themes: conflict, election, politics, repatriation, and observation. And then we can also frequency of local government. So with that, we have like kind of I will also show content analysis of food and beverage advertisements of TV, radio, and billboards. So they have only studied about the food and beverage advertisements, that is on television, radio, and the billboards. The outdoor. I will just study was content analysis of advertisement, and they have like conducted during November 10 to 16, just 1 week in 2020, and the week coincided with no religious or national or political occasion, and contains 7 consecutive programs. Okay. And then all the programs broadcast on 2 TV channels, and then 2 radio channels were downloaded through certain website, right, and application. And then they have 4 researchers also like downloaded all the TV and radio programs, and then they have also like collected photographs. You see, all 194 billboards located on the 3 busy highways of Tehran, namely Hamad, Chandar, and Makki. They were photographed by 1 researcher, while another researcher accompanied to help her with taking photos of it. Okay. Then after that, they have like this. This is very, quantitative. I will show you. This one. Media coverage of intra-displaced people, persons into select newspapers in Nigeria. So here also I will go through the methodology. So objectives: to determine the frequency of coverage, and to find out the nature of stories, and to to identify the level of prominence. Okay, so here. So they have only used like this research design. So the traditional approach of positivist research and population is the newspapers, right? And sampling technique, integral element. Okay, so purposive sampling techniques they have used, and then you can see the unit of analysis also. Time frame is also there. Sample size. Okay, the sample size is 126 editions, and unit of analysis. Here you can see that news stories, feature articles, and cartoons on IDPS. Okay. Then content categories also. IDPS developed news, entertainment, political news, and religious news. So these content categories for your study you can also develop on your own, or you can see the already published articles and work from there also you can take it. For my PhD study, it was about media representation of Dalits in Tamil in India. Okay, that time there was not any study on that one, so I couldn't like rely on anything. But what I did is I have like get more inspiration from how they have covered the African Americans in the US newspapers, and also about how the minorities, immigrants, how they are like represented in various this one. So from that works, I have like developed my own content categories. Okay. For example, I also had like one content category on untouchability. That one won't be nowhere else, right? Because caste is here and untouchability is like so that one I have developed for my study. So likewise for your study also, you can develop your own content categories based on the already existing literature, and also based on your research work and nuances, you can develop your own content categories. Okay. Then here you see. Here they have like had the intercoder reliability. So they have used two coders for this study. Okay. So here they have used one master coder and the trainer coder, and then they have like calculated using this formula, right? And validity also, here you see there are content validity, page validity, writing validity, and construct validity. But she gone with this content validity. Okay. Then method of data analysis, tables frequency, and simple pages validity. So here you see the ratio of stories on internally displaced person in the two newspapers. So how many news are there? And featured articles were there. And again the frequency of coverage for IDPS, development news, entertainment news, political news, religious news, and again prominence, whether in the front page or the inside page, right, or the back page. So that one they have. So this is one example. So how they investigate the news production of the Chinese official media ongoing the Chinese conflict. Okay. So from the perspective and everything, and they have done an automated content analysis of Sichuan Observer. That is that is the total number of pages. It's like 16,045 news items they have. Okay, so this is also and I will show you this. So here we have used the YouTube data tools, videos about the voting massacre were accessed on 21st February 2023, and then 3 popular keywords were used for the search query: voting massacre, Mon killings, and Nagaland killings. The initial search generated list of 50 videos, and out of which a selection of the top 10 videos with a view count of more than 1 lakh and comments enabled. So likewise. So here also we use this orange version to analyze the comments. Okay. So this is one study. So we have like used how we have like, these are like the ways of using the modern technologies. And again now there is a report by Reuters, digital news report, and they are saying that across the world people are avoiding the mainstream news. There is a trend of news avoidance because of fake news and misinformation, disinformation. People are like losing the trust on the mainstream media and they are not relying on it. And more people are dependent on the social media and they are depending on the social media influencers. Okay, so even you can see that there are many social media influencers. They will be like saying things only from Wikipedia, okay, right? But people are there to watch that one, okay. And then there are many journalists. They have also started their own Instagram, for this one, for example, Faye D'Souza, she has her like own, she has become and Barkadat, she has her own, Mojo, this one, that is also, and Ravish Kumar, he has his like own YouTube channel. So likewise, there is people are like increasingly like depending on YouTube and Instagram and Twitter for news, okay, and also other things. So there are like lot of opportunities to get it published. I am telling you, we did like one study about symbolic annihilation of women in Mizoram India. Okay, so we have studied the newspaper, magazine, and also the Facebook page also. One Facebook page we do, and there are like we have found that women are most ridiculed in their pages, and again next to that UPC church is being mostly targeted and like mocked. Okay, it was so shocking for me. UPC means United Pentecostal Church. There are many denominations are there, particularly in Mizoram, they are like mocking them. Okay, so that one we found out in our data. Okay, it was so this one. So that is the thing. So, but when we tried to publish in good journals, no, they were like keep on rejecting it because they say there is no novelty. This is like so many works has been already done. But anyway, from Mizoram, it's a novel work, right? But they are not going to take that bait, and then they are not. They didn't like publish it. So we finally published in Journal of Northeast Studies, no, that one way. But when it comes to this YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and other things, no, you get a lot of opportunities because this people also want to know what's happening there, right? So there is a huge interest on it, right? So you would have seen, like last year, even Prime Minister like invited these social media influencers for a meet, and then they have also started giving awards to them, right? So more and more politicians are very sharp, no? They know the trend, what is happening. So they are like before the academicians, they are there. Okay? They are like trying to do. So you have we are like sitting on the golden mine, right? Gold mines and diamond mines, but we are not extracting their data. Okay, so you should also like try to go for it. And you guys are very young, and you also know how to use R and Python and all. So it's very easy to do it. Okay, and then also in library science also they are doing a lot of this research. Okay, I will like show you from our university. There is one professor, Manoj Kumar. He is doing a lot of research on this social media data analysis. Okay, so for that also they are using content analysis. Okay, I will make sure. Content analysis and sentiment analysis of pro and anti-vaccine conversations on YouTube in India, intention and process. And they have also did it in like this analytics group, good journalism. So the assessments of the sentiments of the vaccine hesitant population is done using balance. That one that it's a Python, right? It's like from the Python they have used. So they have like automatically determine the sentiments of the comments. And manual content analysis was also performed on the 60% of the viewers' comments, randomly selected from that one. And they have like labels with anti, pro, confused, not applicable, and unrelated like labels. Okay, so you can see like many tables and graphs they have used. Can you see? So the table one categories for determining an inclination towards the COVID-19 vaccine. And they have like given explanation for determinants of their vaccine, distance to their scale, and then other characteristics. Video category, all videos, and again Indian videos. Here you see. Yeah. They have also made that also. So this is one study. This one, like which we did it. So I will like show that. We have done the billboards also. Okay. For example, the first one. What is the relationship between a girl and women and the roof? Right? Is there any? Yeah, we are all under roof and we need a good roof. But there is nothing, right? But they have given it. And again, this is like kind of women. And she is not even a Mizo woman, right? And it's a major Mizo population is there. But they have used this one for this one, right? So it's a kind of, you can, it's up to you how to win. And this one, easy solution to keep your kids. Even for this, they need a woman, okay? Before this one. And again, even for Swachh Bharat mission also, they need women. Although in Mizoram, like all men and women equally participate in the NAPLAN and community work and everything, okay? Because for other places, Swachh Bharat is a huge thing, but in Mizoram, it's a part and parcel of their lifestyle, okay? Every time they can see they are doing NAPLAN. Even in the churches, to get, some, for this, generate some funds, they will be like washing the blankets, okay? So they have one day, they will come and collect the blankets from various homes, and you can like pay something like 150 because the huge blankets nobody will dare to like wash in their home. So they'll always come and collect, and in the church one day they'll all like do the washing. So it's a kind of one day like celebration for them. But can you imagine in the mainstream India? No, because that is someone else's duty, right? Cleaning. And even we can see that outside students who are here in the hostels and when they are asked to clean, they get more agitated because for them they are coming from this caste society, so that cleaning is someone else's job. It's not my job, right? So that thing is there. But here it's there. So, but even here for this one, like why everyone has to be there, right? They are all equally participating. It's like kind of misleading, right? So likewise, you can like even in this way, our presentation actually should be about the calendars which is released by the Mizoram government. And in the government, they have the calendar. They have put all the women, and particularly they are all kind of what do you call? It's a kind of using it in a very cultural way and like other things. So they are just using it as a way of what do you call? They grab the attention of that. Okay, so there was a huge controversy, and then they said that why women has to be there all the time. Why can't we let So these things you can always do. I will show that also. Means women 60 and UPC 14.6%. Nuclei also there are like means. Yeah, I don't know what they have to make. So even mean study also huge study. We are like every day using memes, right? And we are like sharing memes and we are doing. And even there are PhD scholars starting their Instagram page just to make like memes on like video memes and photo memes based on like different culture, right? So you can find that one, and they are having huge fan following, and they are like monetizing that the suffering, everyday suffering, that how a research scholar is suffering, right? How the supervisor is kind of that's what sometimes I used to say, okay, even me, I have to start with because how much pressure I am also facing from my scholars, how much mental pressure if they are not sending their things at time and I have to go here. So I used to funding, but mostly research scholars are undergoing a lot of mental pressure because financially also, right? And I also used to do full-time research, okay? And that time I got only 1,500 as a fellowship. Now you are getting 8,000 and that time 1,500. And then we have to be there to do everything, no? So I used to think that if I have like meetings during that period, like I would have like every day. And it's a kind of huge document. Someone can even do research on that one. how the research scholars are like undergoing like various mental, financial, and like societal pressure. They'll always come and ask, why you are still in the university like so many years, right? And why you are like still sweeping the university department, right? They people have commented on me like why you have to do, right? So all those things. So those things also you can find in the memes, and there are also memes about this reviewer too, na? How this reviewer tools are like very brutal and how they are asking us to like change everything in our like so that one also. And even someone can do research on the rejection emails, the reviewer comments, how it was brutal and how one reviewer is finding everything is fine and the another reviewer is saying that completely they are like rejecting it, right? So even you can analyze that one, like you can collect the rejection emails and the red test from everyone and what kind of these things, like what kind of politics is behind it and how they are doing it, no? So you can do it. So likewise I'm saying like there is like one million ideas to do content analysis, but we normally don't do it. Okay.
Name, father's name, ABC, University of History, and birth of
One study, as I said that my major work is on media representation of Dalit issues. So I have done one on like there was one shooting and then like one or two people like got killed. Okay, during this one. So I just made it like how here also you see the name of the newspaper and how many news have been like published during the period. And here also I have given the categories of news. News, frequency of news, lexical choice, themes and sources. Okay. And then frequency of the themes of the news. So violence of Dalits filed by reporters, violence of police, statements by NGOs and Dalit politicians, and politicians and bureaucrats and special officers. Okay. And then name of the newspaper and the total number of photographs. And then frequency of the themes of the photographs published, like from that also violence of the violence of police and politicians. Here you see they have only published more about the violence in which like Dalits it was, but they did like put more photographs where the police are attacking them and what kind of thing they are inflicting. No, that one was completed. So you can see the biasness in that one. And again the sources, big sources they are using in anything, whether it is like government or like NGOs or like what they are using it, that one also you can find. And what used, that is also nothing. And actually there is also this one method called as actually Bandik has done one study about how the Tamil immigrants from Sri Lanka in Denmark, how the Denmark newspaper has like shown them, okay, how they have represented. So the kind of words they have used, okay. So instead of showing them as framing as a political refugees, they have like represented as economic refugees, okay, because most of the people who have migrated during that period, as a refugee status, they were all highly qualified, like doctors, engineers, they are all like well read and they all have like university degrees and all. So the Denmark newspapers, they found that okay, these people are not coming because of this political issue, but they are just using it and then they are coming here and they are like stealing our jobs. Okay, so that was the way. So how they are using it, and even from the photographs also, he has like you have to read him. Like he has done a very good work, and he has one book on news racism. He is talking about how the new racism is also in the form of news. Okay, so in olden days, people has to be like doing it in a different way, but now they are doing it in a very different way, like subtly. Okay, so for example, you could have also seen how the Israel-Palestine issue is also being represented, or Ukraine issue. When Ukraine refugees are going to Europe, no? So this news readers, they are saying that, all these fair people with blue eyes, and they are very, they are coming here. But the same Europe, when it comes to Syrian refugees or any other refugees, they were very brutal. Okay, so it's all like kind of hypocrisy, and that hypocrisy you can like pick it from that one. Okay, the kind of words they are using, the terminology. So for example, when I studied this Dalit issues, no, they'll be like all the time like particularly like one incident that is happened in my town, like Tirunelveli, that this tea estate workers from Manjolai, they were all on protest asking for this salary rise. Okay, they're asking for their daily wages to be like increased. So there was a protest on that one, and something happened when people or thousands are there like in front of this small place and on the bridge and all. No, then police started lathi charge, and many people, they actually, to escape the lathi charge, they just jumped into the river. Okay, and then they died. Okay, I think 44 people have died. But the newspapers, what they did is that people died by drown. They didn't say killed or murdered. As actually, it's a killing by the police force, right? They are the one, when they know that 1,000 people are there, they are the one. But they always have some, justification regarding that one. So the words like it's killed or murdered, or what kind of words, terminology they are using. So from that also you can find the bias. Okay, how they are like represented, right? So that is the thing. Even on the Women's Day messages, you can see that they'll always wish you as that messages. No, you can analyze that one. It's like women or the mothers, daughters, and wives, this and that. They'll always kind of, as if men are not like brothers, husbands, and this one, right? So how we are like glorifying it, and how they are making this Mother India, no? तेरे पास क्या है मेरे पास मेरी माँ है, right? It's like Hindi dialogue, right? So they will be kind of glorifying this motherhood and exploiting the women in the name of like motherhood. Okay, so likewise you can like see what kind of like terminology they are using it. Okay, that one comes mostly with the qualitative terminology. So actually, this one of the work we also done about the environmental news coverage in the online newspapers. Okay, so how now the climate change is a key word, right? So how climate change is being represented, that one also can be like studied. So what are the issues they are like choosing and all, and this is also by Manoj Strategy. YouTube as a source of information during the COVID-19 pandemic. The content on the YouTube video published during January to March 2020. So just for 3 months, that one they have like taken, and they have like done the, and they are also doing this content analysis. The Google research trends. How many of you know Google research trends? When do they go? And they have also published one, like for example, they have like did one paper on Ram Mandir. Okay, they have just searched the Ram Mandir term in the Google research trend, and they have the Google trends, and they have found that in like this many like 20 years, 30 years, how they were like in which year it was like high and which year it was low. Okay, so you can also like use all sort of that trend. Yeah, everything it will come. It's very easy to publish also. It's a very simple way to do it. Even I learned last week or like I was with my friend and we are discussing, and then we are saying oh, it's a very easy. Now we are doing one fake news, Google research, how like from which year, and also different countries. All the data it has, okay. Just the Google data, you can the trends for this one, you can take it and it's also kind of analysis. And even Grok, the AI, if you can like give any Twitter profile, it is like for 1 week or 1 month or like 2 months or like 1 year, it is also analyzing and giving it to you. Okay, it's like helping you. And even we are like going to present one paper about how the, for example, in Grok we search certain terms. Okay, for example, professor, journalist. Okay, professor means all male professor. Okay, they're all with coat and like with grey hair and with respect. And when it comes to journalists also, all men. Yeah, AI is biased, no, because it's a work in progress and whatever data you are feeding. And when we asked for this Indian Okay, it's showing only the North Indian and South Indian. Northeast Indians totally absent. They are not there anymore. They are not there at all. Okay, so that's what. So from that, like we have like generated the image, and even when we ask for feminists, it's only showing that modern women in their like offices. Okay, but they are not the feminists. No, they are one sort of like feminists. We are also having MHP women and the Mizo women or Manipuri women who are all in their villages. They are also kind of feminists, right? And even a feminist can be in Barga also, right? Huh? But this one, it's like giving you the skewed image. So you can also do a lot of research with AI, okay? Because don't use AI irresponsibly and make it write your papers, but use AI sensibly and to like extract data. Or you can even like ask for anything else, like the prompts which you give, it will like give you. From that also you can analyze it, how it's being like represented, okay? And we put one more, this one, generate an image of Mizo wedding, okay? Then it's showing something else. Someone in like, all the Hindu culture and this one, it's showing. Even if you search, Google search also, it will like give you, but how it's being displayed, right? When we ask for the image, like how we are like producing it. I think one guy has done about this Dalits, the AI, which is used for the generation of images. He found that how the clothing for different occupation is being represented. For example, farmer or carpenter or doctor, engineer, likewise, no. So it was like kind of very stereotyped, and it was like kind of coming up with only the dominant things. Okay. So likewise, you can also use a lot of, but I think Doc is somewhat very smart when it comes to others. When you ask deep sea, where is Arunachal Pradesh, no? You say, I can't, it's out of my purview. When you ask Taiwan, it's out of my purview. When you ask about northeastern state, it's out of my purview. Because that national, this so this ChatGPT, this DeepSeek, others are not that smart. But Grok somehow for your research, when you want to like do this, it's like coming up with it. And you can say that Grok is also with the kind of ideology, whatever Elon Musk is having. Okay, definitely, totally like reflected. Which one? Grok, Grok. In Twitter, okay, when you see there is next to that one, there is one small symbol. In that, if you go, even I'm using it, okay, for example, yesterday one of my paper got rejected, okay, so I was so sad. But whatever the reviewer is saying, it's very generalized and it's very like vast. I couldn't make sense of it, okay. Then I uploaded my thing and with these comments, and I said like what I have to improve in my paper. It is giving a long list.
Sometimes they are confused to make us confused.
Yeah, that's what. Like we don't know. They are just saying that structure is not good. This is not good. But they have to give a proper this one. No, this is not good. They are not saying that one. It's very abstract idea. How you will be able to like interpret that abstract idea? So you can get. But don't copy the same thing. You just get the idea and then reframe it. Okay? Because once you depend on that one, then later on you won't be able to execute everything also, right? And then again it will also show in your plagiarism things. So it's better you use this one like to get this kind of interesting ideas and interesting works also. There you can get. Okay?
Just processing, like how do I use of content analysis in work and all, because my guide is also old and he is
So, everyone.